Cyclospora infections are rising nationwide. Hundreds of cases right here in North Carolina. But it's not just the patient's guts that the parasite puts a strain on. Let's take a deeper look at the effect on hospitals, stores, and your kid's school.
Summer heat is back, and it's bringing risky conditions with it. When we're launching WRAL weather alert days for dangerous heat. The Attorney General says North Carolina got shortchanged on a settlement between Chemours and the EPA over forever chemical contamination. Why Jeff Jackson says a judge should reject that settlement.
That pesky, poopy parasite is causing more problems. You know the one we're talking about. We're talking about the contaminated water and also the heat coming back up. So we got a bunch of stuff on the agenda tonight. We want you to join in on all of it. 7 p.m. at WRAL.com is our email. Let us know what you're thinking and talking about, what you want us to discuss. If you have questions, let us know. First up, hope dinner's over. We're back on Cyclospora. It's gross, and people are seeing more and more positive test results from this parasite. Tonight, we are going to explore more sides of this story, whether or not school meals are a concern. That's something people have been bringing up, and how more and more people are going to the doctor just to get checked and what they're saying about it. We want to start with the numbers, though. We know there are 216 cases now in Wake County that have been confirmed, 21 in Durham County, 8 in Orange County. There are 307 statewide. Is that a lot? Is it? I mean, it feels like a lot. Then again, there are 1.2 million people in Wake County alone. So let's go to our quote of the day. This is an exceptional outbreak in terms of that number, but it's still a small percentage of the population. That is your quote of the day. It's coming from Dr. Zach Willis of UNC Health. So 300 cases is a lot, but I guess it could be worse. Let's zoom in on a different number, though. Let's talk about hospitalizations. Those are the people who are going to the hospital specifically because of what the symptoms they're getting from this cyclospora. 13 of them statewide, 5 in Wake County. It's a small number, but it's an important number. Like, what does going to the hospital even look like with something like this? We asked a doctor at UNC Health.
Similar to when you have an infection like norovirus, but it can last for several days or more. And so really what we want to do is rehydrate people, make sure their electrolytes are all in balance, and monitor that. Treat the nausea as well as we're able to. There are antibiotics that are effective in shortening the duration of cyclospora.
Okay. So you get the IV, you get some antibiotics, maybe some nausea medication. Nothing verging on death, which is good, but it sounds like you're going to feel like you're verging on death. But still, a bunch of people, regardless, are spooked about all of this. And it's why so many people have been hitting up urgent cares and going to doctor's offices in droves. WRAL's Bailey Stamos talked about this with a health leader in Harnett County.
Intense pain, extreme fatigue, and explosive diarrhea are just some of the symptoms a pesky parasite is now bringing to over 300 people in North Carolina. Doctors here in Harnett County are breaking down possible treatments and the symptoms that can take people out for weeks.
It can feel like a typical stomach bug at first. And that's what most people think it is.
It's very easy to confuse the symptoms of cyclospora with other kinds of diarrhea, such as norovirus, which is actually much more common.
It's when patients return with weeks of diarrhea, stomach pain, and fatigue that doctors may find something more serious. And the illness links back to this microscopic parasite.
Extreme fatigue. That's what it's famous for.
Dr. Lori Langdon with Campbell University has seen similar symptoms before. Luckily, the illness is still testable and treatable. Patients with confirmed cases can be prescribed an antibiotic to kill the parasite.
So it kills it, but it doesn't harm the human host.
While the parasite hasn't reached Harnett County, local health officials are staying updated with symptoms some are experiencing.
I know a patient parent who has had it that has shared with me some of her symptoms, and it can be, in severe cases, almost debilitating.
WRAL learning tonight over 200 cases out of Wake County, calling for people to take extra precautions. Bailey Stamos, WRAL News in Harnett County.
All right, thank you to Bailey. So much of the concern has been about what people can control, what they can do, what you can do to protect yourself from this, to protect your family, to keep everybody healthy. And it got us thinking about schools. What about schools? What are they doing about this, especially in the cafeteria? WRAL's Heidi Kirk is covering that part of the story for us tonight. Now, look, I know most families are on summer break right now, but there are still a lot of year-round kids back in school, Heidi. This has got to be on parents' minds.
Dan, it definitely is, and we came here to Pullen Park to really figure out, is this something that parents are concerned about? The answer is yes. I talked to a number of families right out here this afternoon. They all say when they heard about cyclospora, the first thing that was on their mind was their kids, of course, naturally. Now, as you mentioned, some school districts are taking steps to actually make sure that kids don't get this. In fact, we reached out to a number of them. Durham County got back with us. The school district says they're actually removing all fresh produce from the cafeteria until at least September. They just want to ride this out for now. Now, here's what's important, though. What if your kid does get sick? What's going to happen to them? We asked a pediatrician today. They said the list of symptoms is actually going to be rather similar to what adults experience, but there's one key detail here that I thought was interesting. They said kids are more likely to get diarrhea on that list of symptoms. But here's what that pediatrician said. They say even though it may not necessarily be worse for kids, it's also something you're going to just want to treat like any other virus.
Other than lasting longer than those typical 3 days, really it's no different than any other diarrheal illness. And the vast majority of people, including children, will work through this on their own and are not going to spread it around the entire school just because of the way it is spread.
Now, that is an important thing to note. Yet again, it's not transmitted person to person for the most part, which is good news. Something like the flu or a cold, that can really circulate around the entire classroom. Pediatricians say that's really not the case with this. Dan?
Well, that's good. I mean, that's a good thing that it's not spread that way. But we've been hearing so many doctors talk about when to come in, when to report these symptoms. And they're saying to wait at least a week of what could be really icky, awful feeling stuff. So how should parents decide the threshold with their kids? How long until they get checked out?
Well, Dan, that's a question that we asked a pediatrician today with Duke University Hospital. And what she said is there's no need to necessarily rush to the emergency room as soon as your kid wakes up with diarrhea. She said really assess the symptoms, see if they get worse over the course of a couple days or so. And if they do, or they're out of the ordinary from things that you normally see with your child, then you may want to take them in. Dan?
All right. That's decent guidance there. Thank you, Heidi. We appreciate it. We do want to follow up now with a follow-up question from our 7 p.m. inbox. More questions about what you can do about this. Let's read this email we got from Edward. If it's just fresh vegetables, switch to frozen for now. It's an idea that makes a lot of sense. When I first read that, I went, I think he's onto something. We're told that we freeze all sorts of things and it preserves them and it makes them last longer. There are also entire aisles of frozen foods and frozen fruits and vegetables and all kind of stuff at the grocery store. A lot of options. Unfortunately, we aren't going to freeze out cyclospora. According to the USDA, freezing food is not a reliable way to kill parasites. If you buy fresh and then you put it into the freezer, it's just not going to get the job done, at least not consistently. If you buy something pre-frozen from the store, you might be in slightly better shape, but it's definitely not a guarantee. We see, again, recalls from frozen food products all of the time, which means this is far from a cure-all that you would hope that it would be. So apparently frozen isn't much better than fresh. So let's talk about fresh, the fresh produce. Mandy said, I saw a news story saying that produce should be washed under running water for 5 to 6 minutes. If true, how should we proceed? That is so long. 5 or 6 minutes. There might not even be any food left when you're done with that. You might be overdoing it. You can wash your fruits and your veggies the same way that you wash your hands, all right? The University of Delaware puts it this way. They recommend to wash all produce for at least 20 seconds. And you got to get in there, all right? You really got to scrub. You know, experts recommend using a clean brush or your hands and scrub the surface. We also got a bunch of questions about if you need anything special to wash with. You don't. The state health department says special products for washing produce don't actually offer any extra benefits over just regular old tap water. Back to the inbox. This one from David. He told us, when I was working in developing countries, we were advised to only eat food that could be peeled. So David is onto something here, or at least whoever told him that was onto something. Peels are a nice little barrier from nature. You can peel that barrier off and enjoy what's inside, and hopefully that gives you a little bit of peace of mind when chomping away.
If it's a vegetable that you can peel, or, fruit or vegetable that you can peel, that might be a good idea as well, especially if it's something that you can't easily, wash really well. So cucumbers, for example, is something that you can peel and still eat safely. And so I think that's the most important thing.
So in Michigan, where they have 3,000 cases plus right now, health officials are telling people to buy whole heads of lettuce, not a bag of lettuce. Those first few layers, you can kind of peel those off, peel them back, and you rip those off and get the stuff that's underneath, that's in the middle, it's safer to eat. And we're going to keep peeling back the layers of this story if you want. Keep sending your questions and your ideas. If you've had enough, if you're like, Dan, it's dinner time, please stop. Tell us that. We'll consider it. 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. We always love to hear what is on your mind. That parasite is the big story, but it's far from the only one. Let's get you caught up. These are the 5 things you should know right now. Highway 210 is back open in Johnston County. This is after what looked like a very serious crash. This video shows the damage to one of the cars involved in this. We're still waiting to learn some more information about exactly what happened here or if anybody was hurt. Tomorrow, we expect to see the results of the state audit's report on the town of Cary. This is looking into the accusations of financial mismanagement by Cary's former town manager, Sean Stiegel, who you saw there. He was placed on leave at the time, and then he later resigned. Getting some more information on that. New tonight, state employees and retirees will soon be charged more for using WakeMed. It's part of the new cost-saving plan for the state health plan members who use UNC providers. They'll be getting a discount. Meanwhile, Duke Health patients won't get a discount, but won't face higher prices, I should say. The new changes will go into effect by January, if not sooner. We'll keep you updated on that, of course. North Carolina's Attorney General says Duke Energy is asking customers to pay more than necessary. Today, he asked state regulators to reduce the utility's proposed rate increase. The filing also calls for a separate rate class for data centers and other large energy users. The Utilities Commission begins hearings in this case next month. We found out when the Canes start their title defense and against who. Carolina will open up the season on September 29th. They will play the Florida Panthers. The team will raise their championship banner that night at home. It'll be a fun one. A chemical company caused contamination in water across North Carolina and the country, and they just reached a settlement with the federal government. But North Carolina's Attorney General says it's not good enough. He wants the settlement stopped. So what does he want? We're going to talk about it next. Kat?
And we've issued 2 WRAL weather alert days, and the National Hurricane Center is watching 2 areas in the Atlantic. We've got a lot to talk about in your forecast coming up.
North Carolina's Attorney General wants a federal judge to block a settlement with Chemours. That's the company at the center of a water contamination crisis in eastern North Carolina and in other parts of the country. The U.S. Department of Justice has settled a lawsuit against the company in the past few weeks, but not everybody is on board with that settlement. WRAL climate change reporter Liz McLaughlin is sharing the complaints from North Carolina's Department of Justice.
The federal government says that this settlement is worth $450 million, but North Carolina says only a fraction of that would directly benefit the state, where the Chemours Fayetteville Works plant has contaminated drinking water for decades. The civil penalty in this case, only $22.5 million. To put that number into perspective, Chemours brought in nearly $6 billion in revenue just last year. The state's filing says the proposed settlement doesn't require meaningful cleanup in North Carolina. Most of the investments will go to West Virginia and New Jersey. Many of the pollution controls Chemours installed at the Fayetteville Works plant were already required under a separate state consent order. Right now, North Carolina ratepayers are largely footing the bill to filter chemicals out of drinking water.
The EPA sold us out completely. We have this huge issue. All of this water was polluted. It's drinking water for almost 500,000 people in our state. The EPA could have gone to bat for North Carolina, and they failed. But a judge has to sign off on whether or not to accept the EPA's deal.
Jackson says he'll continue continue pursuing a separate case against Chemours to make the company clean up groundwater contamination and pay for the damage instead of leaving those costs to taxpayers and utility customers. The public comment period will be open through July 29th, and anyone can submit comments online to the U.S. Department of Justice before a federal judge will decide whether or not to accept this settlement. You can find that link on WRAL.com. In Raleigh, I'm Liz McLaughlin, WRAL News.
Thank you, Liz. North Carolina's Attorney General wants a federal judge to block a settlement with Chemours. It is the company again at the center of that piece. The WRAL made a documentary we should mention called "Forever Chemicals: North Carolina's Toxic Tap Water." You can watch it for free on YouTube and on WRAL.com. Let's send things over to meteorologist Kat Campbell as we take a look at more hot weather coming back into our world here.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be back up to 100 degrees likely tomorrow. The heat index 104. Dew points should still be in the 60s, so the humidity isn't terrible tomorrow, but it's still summer in North Carolina kind of humidity. Friday and Saturday, the humidity is pretty bad, so are temperatures, and because of that, the heat index will climb over 105 degrees for consecutive hours, prompting WRAL weather alert days both Friday and Saturday. We expect heat advisories to be issued. 100 degrees tomorrow in Raleigh and Durham, 106 the heat index, Friday, 106 the heat index in Durham, 107 in Raleigh, and 108 for the heat index in Fayetteville, where it's also expected to climb to 100 degrees. We also have two areas that we are monitoring in the Atlantic. The first is closer to us. It's this area with a 20% chance of development. The other one also has a low chance of developing. It's this wave moving off the coast of Africa. Not a lot to look at right now on the satellite. However, we're going to be watching the Eastern Gulf and as it crosses over Florida for that tiny chance for development. The bottom line here is the most likely scenario is that this doesn't develop into anything. It doesn't get named. But with the warmth in the Gulf, we always watch these things for quick spin-ups. Regardless, it would be beneficial probably if it does develop, even if it doesn't, because we just could use some rain from a very weak tropical system or something with tropical origins like this. Still, the heaviest rain would probably stay east of our area. The European model ensembles give it about a 30% chance of developing. You can see the plumes of moisture, one in the Gulf and one offshore from this system. We're not on that heavier side of the moisture. We'll let you know if that changes, but it's something that we're going to be watching during the early part of next week for potential impacts. Full disclosure, if you're headed to the beach, I really wouldn't worry too much about this right now. It just looks like it would be very weak, but we'll continue to monitor it for you. Over the next couple of days, we're going to be dry again tomorrow. Just a small chance of a pop-up storm Friday night. Saturday, the best chance for rain would actually probably come after sunset into the night. Sunday and Monday, a better chance for some scattered storms. And Monday, Tuesday, rain chances those days are going to rely quite a bit on how things pan out in the tropics. Again, it doesn't look like it's going to be a very big deal, but it is something that we'll watch closely. And I think a lot of people honestly have their fingers crossed for something like that right now. 100 degrees Thursday and Friday, but the humidity is worse Friday. Saturday and Sunday, the humidity gets even worse than that. So even though it's 94 Sunday instead of 100, it's actually not going to feel that much better by the end of the weekend. We stay hot into next week, but hopefully we can squeeze out some better rain chances. Don't forget the new drought monitor will come out tomorrow, and we do hope to see some improvements. I think that we'll at least see some, but we are still going to be in a drought.
All right. Thank you, Kat. One last thing is next, and it's a new sign of hope for an animal on the brink of extinction. We share an exciting update about the red wolf. One last thing, some great news for red wolves in North Carolina. More and more baby red wolf pups are being born in the wild. 4 litters born so far this year. We have seen lots of red wolf pups born in captivity over the last couple of years. Back in May, we saw 5 red wolf pups born at the Museum of Life and Science in Durham. Last year, 3 puppies were born at the museum. 6 more were born at a zoo in Tennessee. But today's update is about puppies again born in the wild, and that's a lot different than captivity. At the museum, at the zoo, people facilitate that process. They match the adult red wolves from all over the country, even flying them from state to state to maximize their opportunity to breed. We saw a red wolf swap at Raleigh Regional Airport last November. In the wild, though, it's up to the wolves to figure it out. No people to push things along. And that's why this news is such a big deal. It means that the red wolf population in North Carolina is actually doing better. And this is where they live, in the far east part of the state, in Beaufort, Washington, Tyrell, Hyde counties. Of the 4 litters that we know about, 16 puppies made it through their first few months. That's a big deal, adapting to the world around them. The United States Red Wolf Recovery Program estimates there are 24 adult red wolves living in the wild in North Carolina. 24. So it is so important that we see that population grow, and this is some really good news to celebrate. Let's get some quick feedback from some of the people writing in tonight at 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Debbie wants to know, are vegetables grown in my backyard safe from the virus? Well, it's not a virus, first of all. It's a parasite, and that's a technicality, but it gets contaminated like any other plant, which is typically by fecal matter being in water, and then that water being used on the plant or coming in from runoff or something like that. So it's possible in that way. Something tells me you're not watering your plants with that type of risk. Is it possible that you could buy it at a nursery, a plant that has this on it, and bring it in? Yes, but it's highly unlikely. There's no real evidence of that happening. Same with soil in that way. No evidence there either. So as long as you are careful, you're watering your vegetables and your plants, and you're washing them regardless, you should be good with a home garden. Another question about what's safe. Hannah asked, if you microwave or heat on the stove frozen vegetables, can that kill the parasite? Yes, absolutely. Doctors say that cooking is the surefire way to take care of this. We don't want to confuse you by talking about frozen vegetables. It's just eating a frozen vegetable right from the frozen bag of peas or something like that. So keep cooking your food, keep watching us here at 7 o'clock, and keep using that